Do you think that that technology developers are preoccupied with being morally good with the technologies that they produce? Because I think about
But is that
Google.
even their problem,
Well,
or
I
is
think hold on. So I think about this sometimes. Google's motto used to be "Don't be evil," and they took that away. They like erased that at some point,
Obviously.
right?
they're like, well, you got to be evil a little bit. I mean, come on, we got to make some money.
And they're like, come on, we're not idealists here. We're after something.
Yeah.
And so the Black Mirror episode is, I think, in everybody's minds because you have a technology like this, and you're like, okay, yes, it can really help people, and it can save lives, and it can do extraordinary things. But what do we do, and how do we prevent it from going in that direction? And it seems like the people who are developing it are the ones who have to be in charge of that. Do you think that they do have to be in charge of that? Is there someone else? Is it a responsibility that gets offshored? Where does this process happen, and is it happening?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So the process is happening. It is very challenging, first of all. I've been working with a number of organizations to think about the neuroethics of these technologies. Like how do you prevent it from, being misused?
Did you say you're working with a number of companies? Sorry.
A number of organizations.
Organizations.
Like.
But companies are looking into this also. So, for example, Facebook just funded some researchers to look into neuroethical aspects of brain-computer interfaces. Right? It's a private company, ostensibly evil, who is also realizing that, for whatever reason, it's important to invest also in ethics.
Saves money in court later.
Yeah, no, exactly. But this is an important thing. So what we're trying to understand as a community are what are the existing incentive structures for the number of stakeholders. And when you talk about neurotech, it's a large group. You have the private companies who are making things. You have the insurers who decide who gets access to what and what they're willing to pay for. You have the technology developers. You have the patients, and you have the government agencies. I think there's a role for everybody in this. And so it's not just the technology developers. It's all of these groups have to come together. And we are working on trying to make that happen.
Do you think that there's a void there though at all where, there's a lot of, like you said, there's incentive structures that all of those, and for the most part, those incentive structures are all geared towards growth and technological production, which is not an entirely human objective. Like it's sort of like those companies have to produce or else they'll go extinct. I think most like of the Fortune 500 companies last about 30 years on average. So like they're not really made to live forever. They're just going to keep growing until they die. Is there a place for like a third party to be involved in sort of advising, and like what are these organizations you were working with, I guess is a better question.
Yeah, so one organization is IEEE. It's the Institute of Electronics Engineers. They're a professional society of technology developers like myself. Another organization are private foundations. The Kavli Institute and the Dana Foundation have been pretty heavy in neuroethics. In fact, they just started an institute in Berkeley and at Cambridge. This is the Kavli Foundation started institutes about technology and society.